Where we are now standing, the men of the 55th Illinois Volunteers, led by Colonel Oscar Malmberg, began to run low on cartridges. Their colonel, fearful lest he pull his men out of line, causing a panic among the entire attacking column, called for volunteers instead to bring up a fresh supply of munitions. 4 men volunteered for this hazardous assignment, including a young musician by the name of Orion Howe. Down the graveyard road they ran just as fast as their legs would carry them. 3 of the 4 men were killed outright. Orion Howe, himself the only survivor, took a mini ball in the back of his leg and was toppled hard to the ground, badly wounded. Undaunted by his wound, the young musician picked himself up, dusted himself off, and continued to hobble down the road until he came across a familiar figure standing with binoculars in hand. It was a red-haired general officer who was no less an individual than Major General William T. Sherman, the Corps commander. Howe hobbled up to Sherman, saluted smartly, and began to recount the situation of the troops on the firing line. Sherman, gazing down at this young lad, could tell by the ashen complexion on his face, the blood streaming down his leg, that he was badly wounded, yet he listened intently to his story. When Howe finished his report, Sherman ordered him to the rear in hospitalization. He said, "I will see to it, young man, that a fresh supply of munitions are carried forward." As Howe continued hobbling to the rear, suddenly he wheeled about and yelled, "54 caliber!" meaning the size of munitions needed at the front. And so 54 caliber munitions were gathered in hand, carried under a murderous fire out to the firing line, and distributed to the troops, only to come to the grim realization it was the wrong size. But be that as it may, the attack would have failed anyway, and all along the front the Union forces are driven back in this area with the loss of approximately 1,000 soldiers. Falling back from the area of Stockade Redan were the survivors of the 1st Battalion, 13th United States Infantry, bringing their treasured banners with them. The national colors alone had 56 bullet holes through the flag, attesting to Sergeant Gardner's claim that men never stood a hotter fire. Sherman had been the first colonel of the 13th United States Infantry. Known as Sherman's Own, he would not forget their service that day, and in the aftermath of the siege of Vicksburg, as the battle honors were being awarded, he saw to it that the men of the 1st Battalion, 13th United States Infantry, were ordered to inscribe on their flags not just the honor Vicksburg, but first at Vicksburg. So proud were the officers and men of that unit of that singular honor that they adopted it as their unit motto. And to this date, should you run into a member of the 13th United States Infantry, you will proudly see emblazoned on their shoulder patches the inscription, "First at Vicksburg." Nor would Sherman forget the bravery of the young musician Orion Howe. He put the boy in for a medal, and in time a medal was awarded to Orion Howe, no less than the Medal of Honor. Although the medal itself was not awarded until the 1890s, on the day he performed the service for which he was awarded the Medal of Honor, Orion Howe was only 14 years of age, and he is the youngest recipient of our nation's highest military award for action here at Vicksburg.